Hi, my name's Charles Bolton. I was with India 21. We were divided between Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. The people in Madhya Pradesh were nurses, so they were doing something concrete. The rest of us were supposedly trained in rural public health. We knew how to dig soakage pits. We knew how to put in concrete latrines, which nobody wanted because they wanted the ceramic pans. So one of the first projects I did was a soakage pit, which was a disaster. I had a nice sign on the primary health center wall explaining how the soakage pit worked. It didn't. But I went on from there. Finally, I got into doing chickens, and we got some chickens in the courtyard. And I'd been buying eggs from some of the Muslims in the area, and they would come by, and we were always buying eggs. So the chickens started producing, and they'd come by to buy eggs, and I'd say, "No, I don't need any eggs. I've got plenty of eggs. You want to buy some of my eggs?" And they said, "What?" So the word got around that I had about 12 chickens in the courtyard, and they were producing eggs. So people said, "You got a rooster?" And I said, "No, I don't have a rooster." And they kind of looked at each other. So one morning, about 5 a.m. in the morning, I heard a knock on the door, and it was one of the Atolia brothers bringing me the paper. And as soon as I opened the door to get the paper, he ran into the courtyard and ran over and looked in the chicken coop, looking for he says, "There's no rooster." And I said, "I told you there was no rooster." I said, "This is automatic. So they're going to produce eggs with no life." So I went out into the village, and so I got ribbed for about the next 3 months on this and questioned. And then finally one day I was sitting in a tea stall with a buddy of mine, and this little old Kisan farmer came up to us, and he asked my buddy, he said, "Is that the Saab that's got the magic chickens that produce eggs with not a rooster?" And the guy started explaining it to him. I just shut my mouth and sat there and drank my tea. And about 3 weeks later, my Hindi teacher, who was a very Paka Brahmin by the name of Tara Chand, came, and after we finished the lesson, we were talking and talking about things. And he said, he says, "I couldn't eat one of your eggs because I have it, but my kids could." So I think that was, even though it was a very subtle success, it was a success. And I think that I look back, and I think that the most important thing were the people-to-people contacts, where you really exchange something of value from you to them and them to you. Regardless of all the failed attempts, regardless of the successes which made impacts on their lives. It was those people-to-people connections which I think were the most important part of the Peace Corps. And one of the things I think that when I came back, I went into community organizing. And I stayed in community organizing for about 10 years before I realized there was A, no money in it, and B, it was very hard on relationships. But, I never would have done that if it hadn't been for the Peace Corps. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie.